American football, an outlet for many young men to reach dreams thought never attainable. From scholarships to $1 million contracts and $1 million endorsements. But it is also one of the most dangerous sports you can play. From broken bones to torn ligaments, and even worse, concussions that lead to brain damage.
There's definitely been points in the game where you get hit, your ears start ringing, you get a little dizzy. You know what I'm saying? Coach may take you out for a play, but you go back in.
Many people are questioning if the popular sport should even be played anymore. Others are arguing that the sport teaches young men valuable life lessons.
Yeah, it's taught me a lot.
But mothers are becoming more and more reluctant to let their sons play.
No. Why? I took a psychology class for my undergrad, and they talked a lot about how those type of movements, like CTE and random things like that. Of course, I can't remember the names, but just aren't safe for brain development, especially at young age. So, I don't think I would. I still support the game, but not for my kids in the future.
It all began in England in 1863, when rugby football and association football branched off on their different courses. Walter Camp revolutionized the sport when he enrolled at Yale in 1876, introducing multiple new rules, many that are still used today. Over the years, the sport has evolved tremendously. From no pads or helmet, to no pads but a leather helmet, to full pads and modern helmets. But as the game has evolved, so has everything surrounding the game. Studies conducted by the Concussion Foundation show that the longer you play, the higher chance you have of developing CTE. But young men are still pursuing the sport because of the opportunities that it gives for its players to make millions. There are over 1 million high school football players, but only 1,760 NFL roster slots. So it's lower than a 1% chance that a high school player will make it to the NFL. Many doctors are urging young men not to play the sport, as the high risk of serious or even fatal injury isn't worth the unlikely reward. Dr. Jennifer Nathan has done extensive research on brain trauma and CTE.
My name is Jennifer Nathan. I'm a neuroradiologist, so I'm trained in specifically brain imaging. I currently work in Andrews Air Force Base. I previously worked at Fort Belvoir, where I was involved with a fair amount of traumatic brain injury research. I worked with NICO over there. We also had a couple different research projects that we did evaluating TBI for Walter Reed and another organization called CENC.
But most football players have been playing the sport their entire life.
My parents say my first word was ball, so I've been playing football, I guess, forever. Started playing football when I was around, since I was a kid, before I can remember probably, but organized rec football, probably 5. Played flag football, that's when I started. Contact, I think starts Pee-wees 6 or 7.
Started playing football about the age of 5. I played for the county team close to my house. Played for them till I was about 13, and then I started playing high school ball. So I've been playing since I was real young.
Former players shared some of the injuries that they have endured playing the grueling sport.
I've suffered a few injuries. I fractured one of my toes, dislocated a shoulder, and I've had a couple concussions, probably maybe 2 or 3. So yeah, it's definitely not a sport for the weak. I definitely have had some injuries. I've had a rib contusion, a bunch of stuff, my knees, a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I suffered probably 5 fractures playing football. Bumps and bruises I don't count. Bruises and that stuff happens, soreness. But when I was 4, I think my parents said, I fractured my collarbone playing football. But then after that, 8th grade year, I broke my tibia like somebody landed on my leg and it just snapped, like the loudest noise I heard in my life, for real. Tibia snapped, and then sophomore year I broke it was my left pinky and my left wrist at separate times, so I was out the whole year for that.
These injuries align with Dr. Nathan's medical experiences.
When I worked for the military previously, I would say the population there was a younger population, 20s. I did also, when I left the Army before I came back here to Andrews, I worked for Johns Hopkins, where I worked at Suburban Hospital, and that's a level 1 trauma center. And so I saw a lot of sports injuries there, and I also saw a lot of MVAs. And I saw injuries in kids, 5, 6 years old. So I've seen a pretty broad spectrum.
Many young players believe that playing football has taught them multiple lessons that they say will stick with them for the rest of their life.
It wasn't football that affected my everyday life. I say, like you said, mention accountability. Say, if you don't block your assignment and the player gets hit or your guy gets hit, that's on you. You look at that like, dang, we lost a down, we lost some yardage, that's on me. So take it in everyday life, like right now in school you got group projects. For instance, I'm doing industrial design and engineering, so if my part of the assignment isn't done, like it's gonna hurt everybody. You know what I mean? Same thing goes to everyday life, like everybody plays a role in whatever they're doing, you know what I mean? And responsibility, you gotta be responsible, take care of your priorities.
I think football, it definitely gave me a feeling of camaraderie and how to work as a team, because it's not really an individual sport. Everybody has to be doing their thing the right way for y'all to be successful. It definitely taught me some resiliency too, because with football, like, you're gonna get injured, but if you can stay in the game and contribute, that's what you're gonna do. That's just what it brings out of you. So, I thought it it taught me some resiliency and teamwork for the most part. I mean, it all depends on personal preference, honestly. If you understand the risks of football, but it's something that you love or it could get you somewhere, then I think it's up to your discretion.
CTE stands for Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy. It is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain found in people with a history of repetitive head trauma, including symptomatic concussions as well as asymptomatic subconcussive hits to the head that do not cause symptoms. Symptoms of CTE include memory loss, confusion, impaired judgment, impulse control problems, aggression, depression, anxiety, and many more. These symptoms often begin years or even decades after the last brain trauma. With this information, we ask people if they would let their child play football.
There's only one way to play the game. It's the right way to play it. Safe is always first. And for some of the things we just seen, even the last game, is uncalled for. And we just can't stand for stuff like that. So we have to think safety first, game second.
Football is probably the best sport out. And my kid can make a lot of money. Why wouldn't I be with it? It's like, you can get hurt playing basketball, any sport. You know what you're signing up to when you play football, so it is what it is.
Oh, that's a tough question. I think I'd be careful about when my kids were playing. I think I'd want to wait till they were in at least high school. I don't think I'd want them playing in middle school or lower.
I think it's not really safe. I would let my kids play it though, because if they want to play it, I'll let them play it. They choose to play the game.
I'd let them play in the beginning, and then I would be more apprehensive of them playing in the upper league too.
My brother's kids actually stopped them from playing because of soccer, because of the concussion rate, this and that. I think they should increase the equipment somehow a little bit, because it is a factor. But yeah, I would let my kids play. I played. I broke a few bones doing it. But it is an issue, and I got to look at it. But that's why a few new rules, I think some are a little ridiculous. Let the guys play a little bit more. But
then once you start getting into high school and stuff, that's when I start to worry. I know my fiance dramatically injured his knee, and he can't do hardly anything anymore playing football. So that definitely scares me. I don't like the tackling and all that. That makes me worry.
That's a good question. I would let my son play football, but I probably wouldn't let them start playing contact football as early. You know what I mean? Studies showing like if you let your kid's brain develop, I guess, more so. So like, I guess I let them start playing contact, maybe middle school, high school. I'd say I'm 60-40 with like 60% wanting him to play just for the experience, 40% not because of obviously health reasons.
Here's Dr. Nathan's thoughts on CTE.
Based on what I've seen, and I think a lot of the research that's coming out about CTE, it's a dangerous sport. They talk about the high impact that you're hitting somebody with a force so severe, and that it's causing the brain to move back and forth pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. It's causing damage at a microscopic level that really only pathologists can see. Even on imaging, I can't see some of these injuries. Mm-hmm. So you're actually seeing manifestations of it causing like early dementia, depression, other psychiatric issues. So I guess kind of a long answer to your question. Given some of the manifestations that I have seen and some of the research that I've read about, I don't necessarily think I would consider it to be a safe sport. Mm-hmm. I think if an individual is aware of what they're getting into and they have an understanding of what they could be exposed to and they still choose to do that, that's their decision. But I don't think it's really a safe sport given what I've seen.
Former players told us whether or not they regretted playing football.
I met a lot of friends through football, for sure. For sure, it's really like a family, like bonding sport because, like I said, you gotta look out for one another, each play.
And for me, it was worth it. Like even though I got injured, I had some of the best times of my life playing football, and it taught me some things that I'm still using in life now that I'm not playing football, like to this day. So I definitely think it was worth it.
Yeah, knowing the injuries I've suffered, I feel like I definitely would play football just because it's just a great sport. Like, it's just a fun sport to play, to me. You know what I mean? It's nothing like it. Being with your boys, you know, in between those lines. Like I said, anything can happen. It's just a great sport. But head injuries, I will say protect your head. Like, if you, like those concussions, like if I would have known then what I know now about concussion injuries and head injuries, you know, I would definitely, you know, take myself out. Like, I need to be checked up on. Like, other than that, I don't regret anything about it.
At the end of the day, it's up for you to decide if football is a safe enough sport for you and your family, and if you're going to continue to support the physically demanding sport.